This podcast of Kashrus Anytime is brought to you by the Kosher Consumers Union, a 501c3 corporation. The Perek Ezer Mekayim, which we say by Karbonis every morning, or should say, is a Perek that has no machlokes at all. By all Karbonis in general, besides oil, it states that it may be eaten for a specific period of time. But by Pesach, which is the last item that it says over there, it has a completely different lotion. It says four times Eina Nechel Ella, Eina Nechel Ella, solely Eina Nechel. Because by Pesach, basically, we know we don't eat unless we know that it's done correctly. And then again, even if you think you know it's done correctly, again, Eina Nechel, four times Eina Nechel. There was a few years ago, I think it was about 3 years ago, which was known as the Shufra Pesach Cocoa Powder episode. What happened was they were repacking Chinese cocoa powder into Shufra Kosher Pesach packages with some of the following Pesach chumras and hidurim, which everybody's looking for. First thing, it was a product from China. Strike one. China is known to adulterate everything. They commonly adulterate cocoa powder with flour. With no hashgacha at all by the repacking, strike two. You surprised? We're not surprised. As the kosher certifier would say, cocoa powder was kesher zayin. Repacking the cocoa powder without a mashgiach. Strike three. In a plant that packs a whole year chametz items. Strike four. Yet more, on the shofar package it says USA product. Strike out. We published above a scandal. Then the two hashgachas were up in arms. The OK was one hashgacha, and then there was a Mansi-based Hamish hashgacha who writes on his hashgacha that he's a member of a Sachtas Harabon and Bezdin. The two hashgachas had a meeting in the OK's office. You know what the crux of the meeting was? How did Shane know this, and how did he know that, and that? They weren't concerned about the deception and everything else was being done with no mashgichim, no nothing, etc. That wasn't their concern. Others were concerned that they baked for Pesach 4 to 5 weeks before Pesach, and they used the shufra cocoa, and now they discovered that basically there's a problem over here. Then the OK says they sent it to a lab, and there was no adulteration. They never ever produced any lab results and reports, and they expect people to believe it. By the way, the cocoa powder from China was from a few different lot numbers. They would have to send to the lab a few different samples in order to test it. They didn't even have them available because most of them were already in packaged items. They don't even know from what lot numbers they were. Okay, that is the Shufra Pesach Cocoa episode. Now there was a Hamish vegetable oil made for Pesach, made under the hashgacha of a popular Hamish hashgacha located on Division Avenue in Williamsburg. The Hamish certifier was asked by another Hamish certifier for a copy of the Mashgiach production report. They responded, "We don't release any reports." I happen to know that they don't usually have reports to speak of, but we wouldn't tell anyone. So this inquiring hashgacha called the vegetable oil company to discuss some things about the production that was made of the Pesach certified oil. They also asked, what citric acid do you use in your facility? The company responded, we have a Passover citric acid, a non-Passover one, and some other ones. They asked, what did you use for this production? The company responded, whatever the rabbi says we should use, that's what we use. And what was that? They said, well, it doesn't say on the production sheet because the rabbi forgot to come. Don't mind it, it's for Pesach production. They wanted us to make another production with a rabbi present. We said, sorry, your order is done already. And they used those oils basically for commercial things. I don't know if they used it for the retail market because other hashgachas from the Hamish ones didn't really want to use it, but for the commercial ones, they couldn't have the commercial ones, can't have mayonnaise and other type of things. So I believe that it was used based on what, I'm not sure. Afterwards, we went and called the oil producer to inquire from them if a supervising rabbi is supposed to be present for the production. How do you start before he comes? If the OU would have scheduled a supervised production, would you do the same? They said, no way. So I said, could you please explain? They said, yes. If the OU rabbi is supposed to be there for a 7 o'clock production, he'll usually come in at 6 o'clock a.m. to check the equipment, the ingredients, the labels, everything else gets checked. If he's not there by 6 o'clock, we call his cell phone to find out, is there some delay? Should we wait? What's going on? And by the Hasidic ones, they never arrived before 10 o'clock or so, so it was nothing odd, and we started at 7 o'clock. He'll ask what was used, and we tell him the equipment was cleaned, it was sterilized, these were the ingredients. So we never wait for the Hasidic rabbis. I'm very sorry to tell you this, but that's the way it goes here. Next story. We were tipped off that a large commercial bakery on the outskirts of Borough Park was working Shabbos afternoons in the summer. We set up some people to check it out, and it was confirmed after 2-3 weeks that they kept on checking. Next, we set up a minyan of people to be present and observe the facts firsthand. We also arranged for a guy to video the episode. It was done within the halachic guidelines. The bakery was under the hashgacha of the OK, which is based in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, New York, and the Hamachshir hashgacha located on Division Avenue in Williamsburg. That was the two hashgachas. And we had it videoed. We had one of the people tried getting in. They wouldn't let him into the bakery on Shabbos, but all the workers got in, and the guy had the key, etc., etc. On Motzei Shabbos, the Lubavitch Bezdin from Crown Heights heard from a pair of Eidos regarding the Chilul Shabbos that was witnessed, and they issued right away a psak, and they put up signs immediately, not all over Crown Heights, not to buy from that bakery. A call was made to the Hamish certifier. They said, we'll meet Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock. They were in no rush for any earlier meetings or canceling or whatever else it is. The individual then went down to the Hamish Hashgacha office on Division Avenue. He set up the video recorder and showed the episode of the guy having his own cubing of keys to the bakery. He opened it up for all the workers, wondering who started up the oven also, but that's another thing of the Pasi Stroll, etc. The kashrus administrator said, first of all, who gave you a heter to have a guy do a video on Shabbos? So the fellow responded, Rabbi Shane set it up all up in halacha. Second, a video is not kosher for Eidos. So the fellow responded, laughingly, he says, first, basically, you people sit on the Din Torah, you Rabbanim. You know at every Din Torah, one is always a liar. Very often, both are lying. But, let me tell you something, videos don't lie. The OK ultimately removed the hashgacha until he installs cameras. The Hamish hashgacha was deciding only on the amount of the fine to charge the bakery. But none of them even thought of removing the hashgacha completely and walking away. Gelt is gelt. Interesting, but not surprised. A large chocolate manufacturer in East Greenville, Pennsylvania area. He's kosher certified by the OK for many years, and there are a lot of Hamish ones that are doing productions or taking product from there and repacking it, etc. The chocolate manufacturer's manager does not allow the kashrus representative into the plant as soon as he gets there. He must wait in his office and dreizach harum for approximately a half hour until the manager is ready to take him around. That way they can shut down certain equipment and it cools off, so the mashgiach will not be able to ascertain the temperature of some of the equipment that is above Yatzei Ledes, which would make the entire facility a dairy milk production facility. Because the refiner, which is used for the chocolate to refine it and mix it together with the sugar and all the other things, including the milk powder, etc. So if it's basically above 160, above Yatzei Ledes, it becomes milchiks, and all parva ones that you're doing it on that same refiner is also milchiks, and you really can't kasher a refiner practically. It was checked from the distance with a temperature ray gun and recorded at 165 degrees, which is way above Yatzei Ledes. Now we know why the inspector of the OK was not allowed in by the manager, because he had to make sure that everything was closed and shut off and cooled down. and every single time he came in, he never was able to find that the refiner was in operation. The kashrus inspector also concluded that they put milk thick chocolate in a dedicated Parav storage tank, and he entered that on his report. Even though everything in the company was hard pipe, but they did have outside laying flex lines which they could do that kind of thing. By the way, you can't kasher a chocolate plant with water. It would ruin all the chocolate, even if there's a couple of specks of water. Therefore, the OU does not allow any kashering in a chocolate plant from dairy to Parav. Other certifiers, including the Hamish ones, kasher with chocolate or cocoa butter, which is called shar mashkin. Rabbi Don Yoel Levi of the OK was very disturbed about both dairy issues. He was given hashgacha. Number one, the refiner was being used for dairy at 165 degrees, and the dedicated Parav tank was used for dairy. He asked the kashrus inspector, "Did you see them use the tank for dairy?" He says, "No, I didn't see it myself, but I concluded with siyata d'shmaya that is what they did, and they used flex hose from laying outside to pump the chocolate into the different tank, which was really a dedicated Parva tank." So Rav Don Yoel Levi was very furious on me for writing it in my report, something which I did not see but surmised from siyata d'shmaya. The company manager denied it vehemently. So Rav Don Yoel Levi called me up, very furious. He's denying it. So I said, why don't you check the last few records of what product was in every tank, and you'll make your own decision. Ultimately, he checked and he found that I was correct. How he kashered the thing or what he did with that tank is beyond me. Thereafter, Don Yoel Levi instructed me. I used to go down to the plant once a month. He instructed me to go down twice a month instead of once a month, and he wanted me to put in a poigim, such as Bitrix, into the boiler water. Because they did use, to heat the tanks, they used boiler water to heat the tanks, and wanted to make sure that if they use heating with the same water, the milk sticker tanks, the Parva tanks, it may be a problem. So I asked the Yair Levy, "Do you know if there's a deodorizer in the plant?" He says he doesn't know. I told him, "I'm limited to a 1 hour visit. You were there a full day practically, and you don't know if the chocolate company has a deodorizer? You know most chocolate companies do have deodorizers." "Well, let me tell you something, Reb Don Yoel. They do have a deodorizer, and therefore you cannot put a poigim into the boiler, because a deodorizer uses live steam injection, and the poigim will ruin the chocolates that run through the deodorizer. But if you have a way of doing it, I'm always willing to learn of new methods that there is in the kashrus industry." The OK still today designates it as a Parv chocolate company. Many of the Hamish companies and the Hashgacha use that product as Parv. In our opinion, it's a straight milk-thicker chocolate company. For a while, the Star K listed in their circular that they are certifying that East Greenville Chocolate Company as Star D, which is dairy. Go figure how in the world this thing happened. The very large high-end caterer, which was called Silver Caterers, was under the Chafke until she purchased the now defunct Huntington Townhouse Catering Hall in Long Island. The Huntington Townhouse had 9 kitchens, 5 halls, room for 3,000 guests at a time. They were running kosher and non-kosher affairs. They had just one so-called designated kosher kitchen, which they had it locked, but they had the key to it. The Kafke refused to continue the hashgacha of kosher and non-kosher, as these are takana from Agudas Rabbanim against giving hashgacha to one that operates kosher and non-kosher. It was a very lucrative 6-figure hashgacha. Along comes the OK, and they pick up the hashgacha. We were there numerous times after it was under the hashgacha of the OK, and we found that the kashrus control was less than poor. The non-kosher kitchen used to take and exchange pots and utensils from the so-called designated kosher kitchen back and forth, called also Polish powder, real today. By kosher events, we observed the waiters taking utensils from the non-kosher supply room for the kosher event. It was a complete afkaris and kashrus, but eventually, Baruch Hashem, They sold the place, the catering hall. They sold it to Lowe's. It was demolished, and basically those problems are over. I was hired to do a Sunday wedding at a kosher catering hall in Long Island, located in the shul's catering hall. The caterer himself was not Jewish. 4 weeks prior to the event, I sent in my requirements to the caterer and to the full-time on-site mashgiach. I wrote to them and asked them, do you have any issues? Please be in touch with me. When I called, they said, no, we will comply with everything that you have on your thing, and we have absolutely no questions. I reviewed with them the menu and gave them the guidelines, etc. At this point, I knew I was in trouble. A first time me with a new caterer and no questions, it just can't be. I have it from anybody, no matter who the caterer is. I arrived Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. First thing, I meet the mashgiach, and I see the wine by the goyish chefs is not mavushal. All of the workers are goyim. I go to the storage cabinet for the wine, and I find that most of the wines are not mavushal. I question the mashgiach, and he shrugs with his shoulder. He was unaware of it. He thought this and he thought that. Basically, I went into the mashgiach's office and I saw exactly what it is. He reads newspapers, everything else. Like, he's just, he breathes and he stands on 2 feet, and that was the accepted mashgiach from kashrus certified in Flatbush. In general, the mashgiach was there many years, but totally clueless. The chef complained to the mashgiach that I'm not letting them use many of their ingredients, etc., etc. The mashgiach said, it's all on the rabbi's list that he sent you a few weeks ago, and you never responded back to him that you have any issues or anything else like it. And it was getting very tenseful. Finally, at 10:30 in the morning, the tall Italian boss arrives with his three-piece suit. He says, Rabbi, I hear you're not allowing my team to produce their fare. What's going on? He opens up his jacket to display to me a pistol in his belt. I said, we'll get to the disturbing your staff a little bit later. First, I want to ask you, what is this pistol doing here? He said, well, Rabbi, you have to understand, I carry a lot of cash to the bank, so I have my pistol. I said, well, today is Sunday and banks are closed. You came to intimidate me with a pistol. Now get out of my kitchen and close the door behind you. Do not come back into the kitchen till after the affair. He leaves and closes the door behind him. All the workers, they put down their knives. They were very stunned that was the position that I took with him. I told them, please pick up your tools. I don't want to hear sound from anybody. It's my kitchen today. I'm in control. Do not do anything until you ask me. 5 minutes later, the kitchen phone rings, and they say, Rabbi, it's for you. The Italian boss is on the phone, and he says he wants to come in to apologize. I responded, I'm not a school teacher that repeats the instructions. You stay out until the affair is over. And basically, that's what I had to do. I forced the hashgacha to drop the hashgacha when the annual contract was up. Because if you threaten basically a Rav Hamachshir with a pistol, you don't continue with that type of hashgacha. Kol tov, thank you.